All right, we're live. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the latest edition of the Woke Bros. Of course, I'm your host, Big Waz, aka Wozni Lambre. Shouts to everybody watching live on the YouTube. Salute. Shouts to everybody listening after the fact on the pod, man. Um, Decent amount of things going on in the news. Obviously, the hurricane that's hitting, Florida right now, just like really scary shit, evacuation orders and all of that stuff, like so much devastation, man. Seven people have died as of right now, millions left without power. As Hurricane Milton hits Florida. Just horrible, man. Like even the infrastructure to try to execute an evacuation is just tough. You know, everybody got to drive out there, like there's not like a train or some other alternate ways of getting this thing done. It's just kind of tragic, honestly. Just horrible. Obviously, we're thinking about all the people in Florida, everybody affected, man. Like people, material stuff getting just cooked, and obviously, we just hoping for as little casualties as possible. Like elder people who like basically got to fend for themselves on a fixed income. Trying to plan around this type of disaster level stuff is just so hard, man. It's heart wrenching shit. So definitely thinking about those folks. Um, Out in Florida, I know many people have family down in Florida. A lot of retirees. Florida is actually, it's one of those states that a lot of people have moved to. Like their new residents is one of the fastest growing states because it's like it's like one of the last places where you could cop a crib for 200-300 grand. You know what I'm saying? Like actually own something and stuff like that. Obviously, people love the warm weather. But obviously, year after year, they deal with the hurricane season and the way the climate is going, it feels like this stuff is only going to be more frequent and even more devastating. This Milton thing turned on a dime, how like strong and dangerous this was, category 4 and all that. So, just thinking about those folks, man. And Jerv, I'm about to share the screen really quickly to this New York Times report. Just give me a second here. Uh and yeah, here we go. All right, we got that up there. Just give me a second, folks. I get situated here. But yeah, airstrike where Israel's at war with Lebanon. This isn't like a preparing for war. They're not calling it a war in the newspaper, but they're at war with Lebanon. You know, how they frame it is they're at war with Hezbollah. Uh, they're dropping bombs in the biggest city in the country, major city, in the middle of, civilian areas. The attack, for which Lebanese officials blamed Israel, appeared to be the deadliest in the Lebanese capital in more than a year of fighting between the Israeli military and Hezbollah. Israeli airstrikes in a densely populated area of central Beirut on Thursday killed at least 22 people and wounded at least 117 others, Lebanese officials said, in what appeared to be the deadliest attack in the Lebanese capital in more than a year of fighting between Israel and Hezbollah. The strikes hit an area of Beirut where displaced residents had been sheltering after weeks of intense Israeli bombardments near the city. The Israeli military did not immediately respond to requests for comment on the strikes, but it has been systemically targeting Hezbollah leaders and the group's infrastructure. Hezbollah began launching rockets in northern Israel last year in solidarity with its ally Hamas in Gaza after Hamas led October 7th attacks on Israel. Both militant groups are backed by Iran. I love the framing of the shit in the Times. Um, Like, yes, Israel is trying to kill, as many Hezbollah soldiers and leaders, excuse me, Hamas soldiers and leaders as possible. But like in the meantime, what they've done is basically level the entire Gaza Strip. Like it's been indiscriminate as hell. They're starving the hell out of these people. They're not letting aid in. Like it's a war on the population. I love how they frame this as like, yeah, Israel's just fighting Hamas, and because Hezbollah's cool with Hamas, they're just like, now they're doing a war on Hezbollah. No, like they're declaring war on the Gaza Strip and all the people within it, and now they're declaring war on Lebanon and all the people within the borders of Lebanon. That's what's happening. Yeah, it's displacing thousands of people. More than 60,000 people in northern Israel have had to flee that place. 1 million people in Lebanon have fled their homes in recent weeks. So you see the difference there, 60,000 to a million. Israeli and Hezbollah ground forces have also engaged in fierce battles after the Israeli military launched a ground invasion last month. Yeah, the strikes on Thursday destroyed at least one building. Videos verified by the New York Times show that they followed a week-long assault by Israel on areas of the south of Beirut that are known as Hezbollah strongholds. Yeah, there you have it. And we can stop sharing that, Jerv. They're at war with these dudes. And then, Yoav Gallant, the defense secretary in Israel, just had a press conference today where he's basically like, we're going to drop bombs on Iran as well. Essentially, they're going to eventually declare war on Iran as well. And as we've learned, reports in Wall Street Journal, the Biden administration, greenlit this Lebanon operation. So like, yes, like we're green lighting a major conflict in that region of the world between Israel and Lebanon. And then, yes, we're also green lighting operations against Iran. And also what you read in that report is that they're considering the U.S. military actually launching airstrikes themselves on Iran. That's the official policy of the Joe Biden administration. Like, it has to be said, like, I think Biden mentioned it before, like the people he appointed to the NLRB, the National Labor Relations Board, Lena Khan, the Infrastructure Act, CHIPS Act, some people would say is a big win. Like he's had some nice domestic wins, but his foreign policy has been a complete and utter disaster to the point where I don't even know how it could even be worse. A lot of people saying Trump is going to be worse, but like I just see it as being just as bad because this is horrific. Just the idea that we would be starting another war out in the Middle East and ourselves getting involved in it, right? And not just doing a sort of proxy war the way we are in Ukraine with Russia, where, we arm the Ukrainians and we give them strategy and, we fund them and all of that. And basically they're fighting that war as a proxy for us against the Russians. Which is unconscionable in and of itself, like not even trying to go the diplomatic route of ending that thing, ending all of the death and carnage, and just being like, look, man, Russia is like their freaking big brother. They're gonna kind of have to come out of this with a win, which would mean like they're gonna control some parts of Ukraine that weren't under their control prior to the war. But guess what? We get to stop the war, we get to stop the suffering, we get to stop the killing. You don't even hear that kind of talk coming out of that administration. So obviously that's horrible. Their policy in Ukraine has been like god awful. But the policy in the Middle East has been even worse, I would say. I think it's even worse. Just the sense that, the Israeli government and their leader, Benjamin Netanyahu, just essentially tells America what the fuck to do and to shut the fuck up and be happy about it, which is hilarious. When you consider that America is the greatest, the most powerful, the richest, biggest superpower country in the history of civilization. and we take our marching orders from Benjamin Netanyahu. It's embarrassing, and it's just crazy to see. And I think it shows how weak this guy is. Joe Biden is his president. Um, and it's hard to even believe that he's even in control of this, man. I'm just gonna assume that McGurk and all of these other guys in the foreign policy establishment are the ones actually running the show. And that's the and like again, these dudes are leading us directly into a war with Iran. And this has to be said. Because it can't be said enough. Apparently, we haven't learned our lessons, or our leaders haven't learned the lessons of the abject failures in Iraq and Afghanistan. Let's start with Afghanistan, which shouts to Biden. He got us the hell up out of there finally after 20 years of being there. We left Afghanistan, propped up a dummy government, all of that, spent like hundreds of billions of dollars over there, propping up a country, doing like nation building, all this other crap that we did over there because we think we know what the people of Afghanistan need better than they themselves know. Yeah, 20 years, hundreds of billions, if not a trillion. I'd be shocked if we didn't spend a trillion out there over that 20 years. We got out of there, and the government that we propped up in Kabul was toppled in less than a day. 20 years, $1 trillion. And by the way, Afghanistan was the good war. Guys, that was the result of the good war in Afghanistan. Again, like Iran has a lot of issues economically and stuff like that, but like they are 100 times stronger in terms of popular, like the regime over there, in terms of popular support and economic might, as Afghanistan, which is basically a country that the West smacked together and invented out of whole cloth these fake ass borders, which meant that there was always these warring, tribes and all of that stuff. Like these people didn't respect a border that was placed upon them by the West. And so there were all these, like, that's not Iran, bro. Way more unified than, again, that was Afghanistan. So I just gave you Afghanistan. Oh, trillions of dollars, 20 years. How many American lives lost? How many people got maimed? How many people came back with PTSD? How much money we wasted? How many freaking Afghans, got killed in the process between all of the freaking warlords that we propped up? Like, bro, just an abject disaster. Okay? That was Afghanistan. Let's get to Iraq. We go in there, we topple Saddam. Oh, yeah, they're going to greet us as liberators. Nonsense. We spent another 20 years there. Again, hundreds of billions of dollars there. And what happened? Iran, who is, our enemy, ostensibly becomes stronger, more influential, and ascendant in Iraq. So we did that. That achieved nothing for anyone, and that's before you even speak about, again, the most conservative estimate is that 500,000 Iraqis died, guys. 500,000 people died off of this shit. That's Iraq. So now we got it in our minds that we can go to war with Iran. It's disaster. It's going to be a disaster. And these wars can't work unless America decides that they're going to occupy this country in perpetuity. Because the bottom line is, the second that you leave, there's going to be a power vacuum, and a bunch of people, a bunch of factions are going to vie for that. And it's death, carnage, dude. There's no way for us to dictate terms over there. It's not going to happen. The people over there don't want to be dictated to by the Americans, and they damn sure do not want to be dictated to by the Israelis. Like Netanyahu does his little press conference where he's like, yo, the people of Lebanon, by the way, speaking in English, as if there's some large contingent of Lebanese people that speak English out there. Ostensibly, this is for the Lebanese citizenry. Yo, overthrow Hezbollah so we can avoid this war. It's just, it's like, who are you? It's not just Israel, it's us. Like, who are we that we think that people want to be dictated to by us? It makes no sense. The amount of resources that we would put into it. Of course, the human toll is just unconscionable, but yet here we are. Here we are, basically ready to run headfirst into another major conflict in the Middle East. And for what? Like, we're not going to get anything out of this. Let's just say they toppled the regime, right? Of the Ayatollah in them, like, you know, the Iranian Revolutionary Guard. Like, let's just say they topple, and, you know, that's another thing. We're still pissed at Iran for kicking out the Shah, who was our guy in a revolution. Like, we're still pissed about that. But anyway, like, why in the hell would the people over there, after America and Israel bring death and destruction to where they live, why in the hell, after we topple that regime, would whoever we co-sign to be the new leaders and we empower them to be why would they have any credibility with the people that remain there? It's not possible. We've done this, or we've already done this. We did it with Gaddafi. Horror, carnage over there. Horrible what we've done in Libya. It's way worse now than it was before we toppled that regime. And the level, like, invade Iran? Dude, utter disaster. There's just no way to actually win. It's not possible. And the idea that all these sicko and you know what? Like, it's stupid to even make the distinction between the neocons and the liberal Biden administration. Like, there's no difference. There's no daylight in between those factions in the national security state. All these people are bloodthirsty ghouls, bro. It's literally insane. And of course, like you know, it bears mentioning there's a broad popular support for what Netanyahu's doing in Lebanon, within Israel. Unfortunately, like, the population of Israelis, like, over the years have become increasingly more hardline and right wing in their nature, and like they want to see Lebanon get crushed. They're happy that Gaza's getting trampled and Palestinians are, you know, basically being starved to death. They're on board with the concept of ethnically cleansing Gaza and the West Bank. Like, get these people out of here. We want to own the entire thing, populated with nothing but Israeli Jews. And so, yeah, like, I mean, like, not that I agree with these people, but I'm just saying, at least that's the one thing you could say there's popular support for it. There's no fucking popular support here for what Biden is doing over there. None whatsoever. In fact, it's probably one of his weak points is how he's managing the situation in the Middle East. Everybody thinks it's a disaster. And so it's just crazy. It's just nuts. And the more militant the regime in Israel, the more they become in a pariah state, man. Like, they don't have problems. Like, you know, the Saudis and all of them are ostensibly their allies. The Emiratis also, because the Emiratis and the Saudis both hate Iran. But, like, bruh, like, the populations of those, like, the people that live in places like Jordan. Well, Jordan is basically one of our client states, and so they basically do whatever the fuck we say their regime does. The freaking royal family over there. However, their population is not on board with what's happening in Gaza, like, at all. So like that regime's hold on power is tenuous. Same with the Saudis. Like it feels like MBS is like this all-powerful leader over there. That's cool. But like his power is not just ironclad. They can't just go along with everything the US and Israel does in places like Gaza and Lebanon. Like the actual population, the people are not on board with it. And so, like, continuing to be this belligerent, where Jerv, hold on, where is this thing? Oh, give me a second. Anyway, where they continue to be, forget it, Jerv, continue to be this belligerent. Israel's turning itself into a pariah state. Like, this shit is scary, man. It's really scary. We're fucking risking nuclear war. We're risking a confrontation with direct confrontation with a nuclear superpower in Russia over in Ukraine just because we think it's cute that we're bogging the Russians down in Ukraine. There's no like objective to win. You won't hear any of these dudes who are advocating for that war over there. Like, nobody thinks the Ukrainians can win a war of attrition. Basically, our policy is that it's bogging the Russians down. So that's basically a net good for us. Nobody can explain why that is, why you or me should think this is cool, or why we should be sending our tax, like hundreds of billions of our tax dollars over there to achieve that end. Nobody will explain, but that's what they think. But in the meantime, we're risking direct confrontation with a nuclear superpower. Nuclear freaking war, dude. So that's what we're doing over there. And in the Middle East, it's like, yeah, let's bomb the hell out of Iran. Let's invade Lebanon and start a whole entire war with Hezbollah over there. And yeah, let's think about regime change in Iran. It's about time that this is the perfect time for this. Like, bro, like, and again, like the people, mind you, the people that are advocating for these are the same people that sold us Iraq and got it completely wrong. Miserably wrong. It's the same people. But yeah, here we go. A death march to freaking total war out there. It's just it's just crazy. Like, you would really think that we'd learned a lesson. Like, we literally just pulled out of Afghanistan with nothing to show for it. There's nothing to show for it. The Taliban is back in charge. We were there for 20 years. There wasn't even a fight. The minute we left, the Taliban was back in charge. To what end are we going to do this over? Like, how does this make any sense? It's nuts. Anyway, that's dark. That's bleak. A bunch of bleak news. But I want to show you this clip that Breaking Points had. Shout out to Crystal and Saga over at Breaking Points. I want to share this clip with y'all. Andrew Schultz, Brilliant Idiots, I think that's his podcast, had Donald Trump on. Donald Trump and Kamala are getting in a podcast bag. Kamala did call her daddy. Did all the smoke, doing all of this alternative media, basically new media type of thing. Trump had already did Lex Friedman, did Theo Vaughn, and here he is on with Andrew Schultz. I just thought this shit was hilarious, man. Like, what a country. This guy is basically favored to win the presidency. And this clip is just, it's nuts. Here we go.
We should watch that because that was
when
a really
it's
funny
called
part.
for, and I kind of liked the vibe of that. I think we should normalize laughing and mocking politicians to their faces more often.
Let's take a listen. This was on the basically truthful comment.
They can say what they want. I have a hard time doing it to them because I'm basically a truthful person, but and frankly, she's given me so much ammunition. I don't really have to. I mean, she's a radical left lunatic. who will destroy our nation.
Yeah.
Other than that, but she will destroy our nation.
That was great. You could see.
Bro, this man said I'm basically a truthful person, and Andrew Schultz just laughed in his face. This is where we are, guys. We got Joe Biden, who's basically a freaking corpse, running like he's dead man. He's weekend at Bernie's. He had a news conference the other day. He's reading off of a paper. He can barely read off of a piece of paper. This man is in charge of the nuclear codes. And then we got a candidate who's basically, a slight favorite to become our next president. And he goes on a podcast and says, I'm basically a truthful person. This is our country, y'all. This is our country. And yeah, like the latest poll showing like Trump has like marginal leads according to the polls. I don't feel like I'm kind of sick of the horse race nature of this at this point, guys. Like I'm done looking at polls. I'm done reading Nate Silver. I'm done this poll. This is like, it's over. Like, we just got to get to November. Cast your vote. Vote for whoever the hell you want. I'm not somebody up here vote shaming. If you don't vote, okay, who cares? If you do, vote your heart and your conscience. Like, I really don't care who you vote for. But like in terms of keeping up with this race and like doing this day-to-day horse race shit, I'm out of it. I'm done. I'm completely done. Blessed to not live in a swing state. I heard the freaking political ads in Pennsylvania right now, radio, like TV. It's insane, the bombardment. Like Trump and Kamala have basically both decided, yeah, Jervis in Philadelphia, man. Like, it's insane. They're getting, carpet bombed with these political ads. They both kind of decided that like Pennsylvania is going to be the hinge point, so they're going all in. But yeah, I'm off the horse race shit. But it's just hilarious that Trump, I love that he's like leaning into the bro demographic. I mean, like that's where he's most ascendant. The sort of gender gap is kind of crazy. Like more and more dudes are becoming right wingers. But yeah, like a freaking comedian interviewing the probable next president of the most powerful nation in the world, in the history of the world, is on a podcast getting laughed at to his face for saying, I'm basically a liar. I'm basically a truthful person. Most true. Insane. Anyway, guys, that's our show for today. We'll see you guys next week. Shouts to my brother John Gervais, man, on the production, keeping the trains running on time. Become a Patreon at patreon.com/countthedings, man. Stay safe, stay blessed, man. Keep the people in Florida and in the Middle East and in the Sudan in your thoughts, folks. We will see you guys next time. Peace.